If you're anything like me, this coronavirus pandemic has you spending a good bit more time at home, ready for something else to do, ready for something new to tackle. One of the things that I had thought was maybe do some short videos for my YouTube channel to cover some of the basics of astro and nightscape photography. I guess I'm going to probably call it something, Nightscape 101, something along those lines. The first the first one I'm going to tackle is rule of 500, which applies to your shutter speed. I get a lot of people ask me what shutter speed that I shot at for any particular image, and most regular photographers that don't do night sky, they don't do astro, they're amazed at how long the exposure is. And then you get a follow-up question, well, how do you figure out how to do that? How do you figure out how long the exposure needs to be? So I'm not going to tackle the whole exposure triangle in this episode. What I will tackle is the shutter speed. And the easiest way to get your shutter speed is to figure out what the maximum shutter speed is. And for that we use the rule of 500. And it basically is 500 divided by the focal length of your lens will give you the longest exposure in seconds before the stars start to have trails. And this applies to full frame cameras. If you have a crop sensor, you're going to need to multiply the focal length of your lens by whatever crop factor you have and then divide that into 500. So for example, my primary nightscape lens is a Sigma 14-24. So 500 divided by 14 will give you roughly 35.7. So 35 seconds should be about the maximum amount of shutter speed that I would be able to use before I started seeing trails behind the stars. And at 24 millimeters, it would be about 20 seconds, 20.8. If you're shooting with a 50 millimeter, obviously it's going to be 10 seconds. These numbers are based on full frame. If you're shooting with a crop sensor, say you're shooting with a crop sensor with a 10 millimeter lens, the crop factor of 1.5 is going to give you a 15 millimeter, you're going to be around 35 seconds. That is the maximum number of seconds that the shutter can be open, and you still should expect to see relatively sharp stars. My rule of thumb, once I apply the rule of 500, is to back off of that 5 to 10 seconds. 14 millimeters, I'm usually shooting at about 25 seconds. At 20 to 24 millimeters, I've gone back to 20 to 15 seconds in order to give myself a cushion so that I have really as sharp a stars as I can possibly get. So if you want to go out and shoot some nightscape, you want sharp stars, remember to apply the rule of 500 to give you your maximum shutter speed. And then if you're like me, you want to be a little bit more on the conservative side, knock 5 seconds off of that. So I hope you like this. If you got anything specific you want me to talk about, please leave it in the comments and I'll try to cover it in the next episode. Thanks for listening.